What's up, Trek Nation? Welcome back to After the Snap, and I'm your host, Tasha Pierce. And as promised, we are continuing our Worst of Trek series where I check IMDb. I look at the lowest rated episodes of Trek across the franchises. The only caveat is that there must be 3 seasons of each series for them to be included in this here breakdown. And that eliminates Picard, the lower decks, and the animated series. Everything else is on the table. We are 5 episodes deep into our recap of the worst episodes of Trek. As expected, things are just continuing to get worse. they just they just continue to get worse. And what I didn't want to do is choose the episodes of Trek that I personally hated the most. I used the IMDb ratings so we can hear it from the greater fandom. Today's episode, I teased you last week, is going to be Season 4, Episode 22 of Star Trek Enterprise. If you're not familiar, Season 4, Episode 22 is the final episode of Star Trek Enterprise. It is called These Are the Voyages. The original air date was May 13th, 2005. This episode was written by Rick Berman and Brandon Braga, and it was directed by Alan Croker. If you want to know exactly what makes this one of the worst episodes of Trek ever, just keep watching. Okay, so I'm going to start this whole thing off like we usually do. In a synopsis, and in 2370, William Riker is trying to clear his mind and relives the last mission of the first Enterprise on the holodeck. Now, I don't know who pissed Braga and Berman off, but they owe us an apology, a heartfelt apology. Now, for those unfamiliar with this episode, it's set at the OG Enterprise's final mission. They're headed back to Earth to put Enterprise on mothballs and to sign the Federation Charter when they encounter the presumed dead Shran. Now, he's asking for help from Archer. His daughter is being held hostage by some former allies. These bad guys think that Shran has something in his possession that they want, and I can't remember what the plot device was, but I do know that they in turn have snatched up his daughter, who was just as cute as a little button, but they snatched her up and they're asking for this trade. Now, T'Pol is against helping Shran. She's like, he's a dead man walking. We thought he was dead all this time. Now here he comes asking us to risk being late for one of the most important ceremonies. In fact, the most important ceremony in Earth's history. But Archer is like, he's sure that we can assist and we can make it back for the ceremony in time. So he's going to help Shran, because Shran is going to hold it over his head for the rest of his life if he doesn't. So they head to Rigel 10, and after clashing with Shran's former allies, they manage to rescue his daughter. Later on, the kidnappers catch back up with Enterprise and they board the ship, which is nothing new. OG Enterprise, NX-01, is always being boarded by someone. But during the ensuing scuffle, Trip makes a decision that serves to save Archer's life. Unfortunately, his action also led to his untimely death. So now Enterprise's crew puts Trip to rest and continues on to Earth, where we don't get to hear the speech Archer wrote that was detailing their adventures over the time that we have come to know them. Now, what really kind of pissed me off the most about this episode is that this entire episode story is from the point of view of Riker on the holodeck of the Enterprise D. Now, apparently, he's looking for some inspiration on how to handle a dilemma, so Troy tells him to go on Enterprise's final mission and play the part of chef. Then, like I said, that's the problem. This was technically a mid-season episode of TNG, not a series finale of Enterprise. Now, at the time, the cancellation of Enterprise was going to mark the first time in 18 years that no new Trek was being featured on network television. So Braga and Berman thought it would be great to make the final episode an homage to Trek altogether. It was not great. It was not great. It was a slap in the face to those of us who committed 4 years of our lives to this here series and these characters. Now, Enterprise wasn't necessarily embraced by Trek fans across the board, but I believe that has a lot to do with decisions by the showrunner. The main decision was to try to make Enterprise its own thing and separate it from the rest of Trek. Remember, it wasn't originally called Star Trek Enterprise. It was just Enterprise. And instead of the orchestral opening of the show, Enterprise got this weird theme song. It's been a long road getting from there to here. Okay. Technically, a lot of people really, truly hate that song. I don't think like the first 5 times I heard it, I don't think I hated it, but I began to hate it. And even now, like when I rewatch episodes of Enterprise, I do skip that opening song. So I'm just being honest. So we got that weird theme song. We got this separation from all of the other Treks. So yes, I get it. That is why a lot of Trekkies got a little butthurt. You know, we got a lot of Trekkies that get into their feelings. And if things don't go their way, they shit. For lack of a better word, on my behalf, they shit on the series. We're seeing this now with Picard. We're seeing it now with Discovery. It's not going the way they wanted. They shit on it. So I get it. Well, you know, they spoiled. I get it. But we should have gotten better from Enterprise, because once they started realizing, hey, we might not have been doing this show a service by doing all of the separation, by making it so different. We may have hurt the show. So I get it. But almost 4 million people tuned in to see how this series would end up. And I feel like the showrunners let us all down. It almost seems like they wanted to be bailed out by Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis. We know that those are two very popular characters from the Next Generation. And yeah, why not throw them in here and let them bail out this final episode? And I almost want to say Brandon Braga and Rick Berman lost confidence in what they had, because they had some good, despite what a lot of other people say. I'm only going by how I felt about this series. They had some decent characters. They had some decent storylines. I think some of the storylines in Trek, in Enterprise, could have been expounded upon, could have been made a longer part of the series. I enjoyed Star Trek Enterprise. That doesn't necessarily mean that everybody else is wrong and I'm right. I'm saying there were 4 million people who, like me, wanted to see how this thing turned out, and we were cheated. Now, if Brandon Braga and Rick Berman had a crystal ball, they could have foreseen the resurrection of this franchise and the emergence of streaming services. And they would have known that there would be a nostalgia for these characters and to further their stories. We can't necessarily knock them or blame them for not knowing that these things were on the horizon. But I mean, it was 2005. We were very close to the landscape of television where we are right now. They could have milked this thing. They could have had Enterprise running on the streaming services and give a new audience an opportunity to binge the entire series. Because when you binge the series, it comes across a whole hell of a lot better than when you are watching it episode by episode, kind of hamstrung by what we saw or what we knew about television in the early aughts. Now, the whole landscape of television has changed. I can wait until a series completely ends and then just sit down and watch it all in one day if I like. And that is what a lot of people have done. They're looking for older, newer stuff to watch. And we've gained a large contingent of the fandom. A lot of people have become fans of Jonathan Archer and Trip Tucker and T'Pol. A lot of people have come to like those characters and would have liked to have seen what happened to them, except for Trip, because they killed Trip for no apparent reason. They killed him. But I don't think I'm alone in saying that it would be awesome to see what these characters had gotten up to after the finale, after the signing of the charter. What made their careers in Starfleet stand out after their mission was over. Of course, a reimagining of Enterprise is not out of the question. It can be done. We could see what happened with Archer. We could see what happened with T'Pol. We could even see what happened with Trip through some techno babble mumbo jumbo and bring him back. But I mean, I know that a lot of people would feel some type of way about that. His death wouldn't have meant anything, but guess what? It didn't mean anything anyway, because they killed him off for a plot device. So, in other words, this episode sucked. But redemption is still possible. And Paramount, y'all know what to do. Y'all know what to do. Y'all doing it for everybody else. Y'all know what to do. Let's get it. Let's get it. And with all that being said, I'd like to know what you think. Oh, I'm sorry. This episode was rated 5.3 on the IMDb rating scale. And yeah, I think 5.3 is a warranted rating. I don't think I would rate it any less. It is also the lowest rated episode of Star Trek Enterprise, so we won't see them again. That leaves, let me see, we've already eliminated Discovery. We've already seen their worst episode, according to IMDb. We've seen the worst episode of Deep Space Nine, according to IMDb. We've also now seen the worst rated episode of Enterprise. So that means that the rest of my series is coming from 3 series. The original series, Next Generation, and Voyager. Yeah, Voyager. So that is making things a little creepy weepy deepy, because we haven't seen anything from the Next Generation yet. Anywho, join me here again next week as we continue our discussions, and I think I'm going to leave this one a little bit of a secret, the next episode that's coming, because a lot of people are like, what could possibly be coming next? You shall see. You shall see. Yeah, let me know what you thought of this series finale of Star Trek Enterprise. What would you have liked to have seen done differently? Or did you like it? Did you think that this was an incredibly well done series finale of Enterprise? And please explain to me why. Also, while you are in the comments telling me all of that, make sure that you've hit the subscribe button. You've got your notifications turned on. You've liked this video. All of these things assists in pushing my channel up in the YouTube algorithm. And also, if you'd like to financially support the show, please go over to Patreon. It's patreon.com/afterthesnap, where you can donate to the channel. There's some tiers. There's a lot of stuff over there. You just go ahead and do that, and I will take your money. Yes, I will. So outside of that, I've got nothing else. I will catch you all here again next week, Sunday, and we will continue to talk the worst of Trek, and things really, they just go downhill from here. So catch you in the next one. Live long and prosper. Peace.